Hola. Hi, Guru. How are you?
Hey everyone, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you for joining with us. I'm gonna give the intro in Spanish and coming back with you. Okay?
Perfect. All right.
Beautiful. Hola amigos, ¿cómo están? Buenas tardes. Soy Valentín de parte del equipo de Frutero Club. Es un honor para nosotros que el día de hoy tenemos como entrevistado en esta Frutero Talk número 38 a Guru, quien hoy trabaja como el líder de DevRel, Relaciones con Desarrolladores, para Logos Network. Ahorita les platicamos más sobre qué es Logos. Para mí es un honor porque a nivel personal, Logos ha sido uno de esos proyectos en blockchain que me gusta por su ética, por sus fundamentos, por su visión. Es un gran honor contar con él aquí hoy. Como para ustedes, querida audiencia, si esta es la primera Frutero Talk que visita, la idea es conocer al humano detrás de los proyectos y que nos platiquen un poquito de los proyectos en los que están. Dicho lo anterior, esta entrevista va a ser conducida en inglés y voy a tratar de traducir las respuestas que nos dé Guru a español y la pregunta que le haga para comodidad de la audiencia. Si tienen alguna pregunta o comentario, pueden dejarlo aquí en los comentarios y pues si nos ayudan a compartir también estaría increíble. Dicho lo anterior, dear Guru, how are you? Welcome. Thank you for taking our call. We are so happy to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here as well. Been a big fan of your Fruteros for a while already. I heard a couple of good things about you from some connections in South America. So yeah, excited to be here.
Thank you, man. Thank you for saying that. I was saying before that Frutero Talks are to get to know the people behind the projects and to know your road, where you come from, your journey to be in the crypto space in working for a project, a big project. So my first question for you is, who are you? Who are you? Where do you come from? Your journey?
Yeah, so
Please.
I'm Guru. I go by the full name Kumara Guru on socials, but you can also find me at Haki Guru on Twitter, GitHub, and all of the other socials. But then, yeah, I'm originally from India, but I live in London right now. I've been with Logos for the last 3 years as a core contributor. Logos was previously known as Vaku, Codex, and by different names because we had multiple projects in our umbrella. But now we've kind of consolidated all of it together into one brand name called Logos. And before Logos, I used to be at Wallet Connect and Protocol Labs as a DevRel as well. So yeah, this is my third Web3 project that I'm kind of officially contributing to. And yeah, I also travel, jump places every now and then. So kind of nomading around.
Wow. Let me translate this real quick. Nuestro querido guru, Haki Guru en Twitter, es de la India, vive en Londres y previamente trabajó en Protocol Labs y en Wallet Connect como DevRel. Actualmente está en Logos. Logos es una empresa que ha ido cambiando de nombres por diferentes proyectos, pero actualmente todo sirve bajo el paraguas de Logos Network. Probablemente usted haya escuchado de Waku o de otros nombres previos. Um, Siguiente pregunta. What is your what's your background? What were you doing before Web3? How you ended up as a DevRel in places as big as Protocol Labs, as Wallet, as Logos? Like, who are you?
Yeah, so I think I had a start with Web3 pretty early in 2017 when Ethereum started getting mainstream in hackathons. That's when I kind of uh, discovered Ethereum as a development stack. But before that, I obviously had some idea about what Ethereum is and what Bitcoin is, but I was not in the financial side of things. I was more in the engineering side of things, and I was in my undergrad back in India. I was doing my computer engineering, and then I went to a hackathon that was online. It was hackathon from Caltech in the US, and this happened online during COVID. And that's when I kind of saw that Ethereum was sponsoring some bounties, and I started building on top of Ethereum. And then eventually, I participated in a hackathon which Protocol Labs sponsored, and I kind of got a job after the hackathon. Yeah, that's how I entered into the Web3 space as a developer, and I've been a DevRel ever since then in the Web3 space.
Wow. That's a dream. We in our community we have a lot of people actively participating in hackathons, and there's like a common conversation on the jump from a hacker to a DevRel. Let me translate this real quick. Guru nos platica que él estaba en el ecosistema de hackatones, estudió una ingeniería en ciencias computacionales y que ha estado en hackatones en Ethereum Foundation y que de ahí como que le llamó mucho la atención. Nos platica que antes ya había estado como involucrado en Bitcoin, en Ethereum, pero en un hackathon de Ethereum le llamó mucho la atención y posterior a ello participó en un hackathon patrocinado por Protocol Labs y que ahí como que fue que se enamoró de la industria. And Guru, what does DevRel does? Like, what's the jump from hacker from a hackathon to a position as a DevRel? What are your responsibilities? What do you have to do there?
Yeah, I think the word DevRel itself can have different definitions. For example, in some organizations, DevRel is more like a marketing, a bridge between a marketing team and a technical team. In some organizations, it could be more of a technical evangelist or an advocate. Um, and also in some projects, I've seen DevRels doing a lot of work with documentation. So it's very dynamic. But for me, as a DevRel, I've always been leaning a bit more on the technical side. So I've enjoyed making sample apps, boilerplates, helping the developer experience with feedback from the community, and I just communicate it with the technical teams, make sure that the feedback and communications work either ways. So I think I've been more on the technical side. I'm also happy that I've worked with a lot of amazing marketing teams, so I don't have the requirements to work much with marketing. But yeah, more on the sides of technical content creation and stuff. But
Wow.
I think transitioning from a hackathon into a DevRel is a really good path, in my opinion, because you kind of try out something and you know the pain points about trying out a specific project, and then you have your own ways to make it better. So I think understanding the pain points makes you a lot more empathetic to be able to fix all these problems. So yeah, I would really appreciate any DevRel, anyone who wants to get into DevRel to attend more hackathons, and that way you can get a lot of exposure.
True. And that's the path. Like if you are a DevRel and haven't been into hackathons, like you're missing a really important part of the experience, right?
Yeah, 100%. I feel like not just during the hackathons, but even retrospectively after the hackathons, if you can go and make some open source contributions, if you find, let's say, even a spelling mistake in the documentation, you can simply create a pull request, and this gets some eyes on you from the project itself. And that way, there's a higher probability of you getting hired than applying for a job in a traditional way. So I think beyond hackathons, if you can look at open source, I think that's the path to get into DevRel in today's market.
That's amazing. Thank you for the tip. Like that's so obvious, but we don't do that,
100%.
completely. Let me translate real quick. La pregunta que le hice es cómo pasas de ser hacker a ser DevRel y, y qué haces, ¿no? Como DevRel. Y me dice, bueno, es que el rol de DevRel es muy complejo porque te involucra relaciones con desarrolladores, pero también te involucra temas de marketing, pero también te involucra temas de operativos, de operaciones. Y dice, pero bueno, yo soy más técnico, eh, entonces en la parte de DevRel técnica es mucho crear documentaciones, hacer aplicaciones, demo, hacer plantillas para que la gente pueda construir sobre tu tecnología. Eso nos... Y bueno, él termina diciendo el tip que dice, bueno, es que ser hacker y convertirte en DevRel te da una ventaja competitiva importante porque conoces los puntos que le duelen a los hackers. Entonces tienes una mejor posibilidad de entender cómo ayudarles si has estado del otro lado. Concluye con un tip que es, si te interesa el rol de DevRel, una manera es apostarle al open source. Open source es el código abierto donde cualquier persona puede colaborar y dice, bueno, pues hasta si encuentras en la documentación un error de ortografía o algo que se pueda mejorar, ayuda, o sea, contribuye a los repositorios porque eso pone ojos sobre ti, más allá de que tú vayas con tu currículum a pedir un trabajo tradicional, de la manera tradicional. El tip para entrar como DevRel es pues entrar por la puerta de su código, ayudándoles a su código. Que eso pues, yo le digo que tiene todo, o sea, que no se ha pensado mucho, pero que es bastante obvio, pero nadie lo hace, ¿no? Ok, continúo. Ángel, gracias por escribir B2 Hello y Hello, carnal. Si tienen más comentarios, aquí andamos, los leeré en su momento. Voy a continuar. Guru, what kind of projects were you building before you were in this position? But also, we know that, like, I know that you are aligned to privacy, and that is like part of what you're doing right now in Logos. So, how is like what what projects do you build on privacy, on digital sovereignty? Like, what's your ethos, your driving
Yep.
wheel?
So I think Logos as an organization itself is very much privacy first than Web3 first, because you can achieve a lot of things in privacy without having to go in the traditional blockchain route. So we were very particular about not just building another private blockchain, but we wanted to kind of fix a lot of problems surrounding blockchains. So Logos is not a blockchain, but it's a whole technology stack for building anything that can be privacy preserving. So yeah, I mean, before joining Logos, I was always bending more towards non DeFi use cases. I don't think I've ever built a DeFi project in a hackathon, maybe one or two in whole of the 4 years. I was very little into decentralized finance, but I was more interested in infrastructure, decentralized systems and stuff. And particularly, most of my projects were focused towards communications, because I used to work at Wallet Connect. And even before Wallet Connect, I used to be contributing to a project called libp2p, which is a very popular project in the protocol labs ecosystem and also in the Ethereum ecosystem. Libp2p is the way in which Ethereum nodes talk to each other. That's like the
Wow.
simplest way I can frame it. But then, uh, very little people, especially in the Web3 space, know such holy grail protocols, but most of them are exposed to high level protocols, which are mostly in DeFi, especially due to the incentives that they give you upfront. So, yeah, I think that's really interesting. If you want to dive into the deeper stuff, Lippy2P is a good thing. So I was in Lippy2P, and then I joined Wallet Connect. Wallet Connect was using something like Lippy2P, which was
How do you spell it?
yeah,
Lipit
it's lib P2P, lib P2P,
LID
lib
V
P2P.
P2P, like peer to peer,
Peer to peer, exactly. Lib peer to peer. It's basically
like
library peer to peer.
library P2P. Yeah.
Peer to peer, exactly. So,
Yeah.
yeah, Lib P2P was used by a lot of projects, and one of them was Vaku, and Vaku was built on top of Lib P2P, and Wallet Connect was using Lib P2P, and that's how I got to know about Vaku when I was working at Lippy to Wallet Connect. I got to know that there was an underlying protocol below it called Vaku, and that eventually brought me into Vaku team. And after 3 years, now we've rebranded Vaku into Logos, and we have not just communications but many other things. We have three main things: communications, storage, and a blockchain.
Communication, storage, and the blockchain. Okay.
Yeah, that's
But
like the
just to
TLDR for
yeah.
Logos.
Yeah, that was my next question. Let me translate real quick. But
Perfect.
my next question is, what is logos? But you already answered a lot of, but please like go deeper in that. Um, Traduciendo lo que dice Guru, yo le pregunto qué tipo de proyectos estaba construyendo como hacker que lo llevaron a esta posición. Y me dice, bueno, yo DeFi no creo que nunca he construido nada en DeFi, o tal vez una o dos veces en hackatones en los años que llevo. Pero dice, bueno, a mí me interesa la privacidad, me interesa la infraestructura. Me dice, antes de trabajar en Wallet Connect, trabajaba en un proyecto llamado Leaf 2P, P2P, que dice es del santo real de Ethereum, que dice es como cómo se comunican entre nodos de Ethereum, o algo así le entendí. Lo cual, pues por eso lo pusimos aquí abajito, porque para todos los builders, los y las builders, puede ser interesante. Y nos dice, bueno, Logos, en donde trabaja actualmente, antes de ser blockchain y antes de ser Web3, busca hacer tecnología para la privacidad. Y por lo tanto, pues ahí está aportando. Entonces, mi siguiente pregunta para él es, ¿qué es Logos? O sea, me platica que tiene tres ramas: una comunicación, eh, una blockchain y se me acaba de olvidar, pero ahorita nos lo va a repetir. What was the third? Communications, blockchain and what?
Storage.
Storage
Storage. Yep.
y almacenamiento. Entonces, bueno, mi siguiente pregunta para él es, what is Logos? Greetings, dear Patrick. Nice.
Hi,
Nice to see
Patrick.
you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Logos is a suite of protocols that can be and networks that can be used for building a privacy preserving decentralized application. You can compare it to Ethereum in certain ways. For example, when when Ethereum was introduced back in 2014, the way Ethereum looked like was not just a blockchain, but they had a couple of other complementary technologies. For example, Whisper was for dynamic communications, and Swarm was for storage. And eventually, over the year, Ethereum was Ethereum was mostly in the limelight, and people knew little about Whisper and Swarm, mostly because the blockchain layer has more economic incentives added to it. So people kind of focus more on the spot with economic incentives, and eventually Whisper and Swarm were forgotten. But then IPFS, which was also a part of Protocol Labs, uh, was considered to be a evolution of Swarm. So Swarm, which is decentralized storage, evolved into IPFS and Filecoin. But for Whisper, it was completely lost. And after a long time in 2017 is when Vaku was kind of formulated, and Vaku was integrated into a messenger called Status. And Vaku is like the underlying protocol for this messenger Status for sending messages privately. After all this, we started working on Logos 2 years ago. So Logos has a blockchain, storage, and messaging, like I mentioned. So you can consider it to be three different parts of it: Logos messaging, Logos blockchain, and Logos storage. So Logos blockchain is a layer one blockchain, which is built private by default, from top to down. And yeah, we have a lot of ZK elements in it. I'm happy to share resources that can help you dig deeper into it. That's about Logos blockchain. And for Logos messaging, it's a network where you can send messages into a content topic, and there can be multiple listeners subscribing to content topics. And we call this kind of communication as pub sub communication. So uh, Logos messaging is a pub sub communications network, and it is built on top of libp2p. So that's how I can define Logos messaging. And logo storage is very similar to IPFS. It's content address storage, but with higher durability and data persistence. There are a lot of issues with Filecoin and IPFS. I personally am a big fan of Filecoin and IPFS because I was contributing to it. But then
Mhm.
uh, there are a lot of issues with them. For example, the garbage collector can simply delete your file of the network if no one access it for like 30 days. So imagine you make an NFT and you store it on IPFS, and no one kind of views the NFT's assets for 30 days. Your NFT is probably going to be gone if it is not in any pinning service. So that's how fragile IPFS and Filecoin is. So Logo Storage is trying to address that problem. But
Oh.
I think all these three technologies are privacy first, because Filecoin is not privacy first. But all of these three technologies are framed in a privacy first way.
Is it is it Logos part born with Protocol Labs?
No. So I
No.
think we just share a lot of complementary technologies, but it's a completely different project. But obviously, things like Logos messaging is built on top of libp2p. So there's like a lot of sharing happening between the projects in both the ecosystems.
Ah, that's super interesting. Thank you for sharing all this timeline. Um, Angel, I can see that. And we have an initiative called the Spanish Room Sessions because some of us don't speak English quite fluently, and Angel is the leader pushing it every week. So love you too, my dear Angel. And
Yeah, another fun fact is puedo o habla español. Solo un
oh,
hablo. Yeah, because I spent my last 2.5 months in Peru and Argentina last year
uh-huh.
doing Dev Connect, so I kind of picked up some Spanish words. So yeah,
We
I'm
should
sure it's not good, but it's manageable.
let's change the language for Spanish now.
Next time, I think
Next
next time we
time.
do a space, I will come prepared with some Spanish.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Yo hablo español. Beautiful. Let me translate real quick. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Is it today? Nah,
Yes, it's today.
it's today.
Yep.
Patrick is sending message. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Ok, let me translate real quick. Guru nos está platicando de que Ethereum nace 2014 y bueno, a partir de ahí empiezan a salir diferentes líneas eh, para almacenamiento, para mensajería, para manejo de redes blockchain, pero dice, pero no, pero presentan problemas, ¿no? Filecoin, IPFS, si usted no, es un acrónimo para Interplanetary File System, que es un mecanismo para guardar, por ejemplo, cuando se hacía, cuando estaba el boom de los NFTs, se guardaban en IPFS para que estuviera descentralizado y no estuviera en una nube de Amazon o de Google o tal, ¿no? Pero él dice, bueno, pero se presentan varios problemas de vulnerabilidad que si una llamada era incorrecta o que si no estaba guardado en particular en una ruta, el, ajá, si no estaba, o sea, presentaba problemas, no entendí muy bien los problemas en realidad, pero presentaba problemas y él dice, bueno, y entonces de ahí nace Waku. Waku es un sistema de mensajería encriptado, privacy first, eh, y de ahí se, se busca resolver problemas de almacenamiento, de comunicación en las blockchains y de mensajería. Entonces, básicamente lo que ellos ofrecen, yo le pregunté qué es Logos, lo que ellos ofrecen es una capa tecnológica para que tú puedas construir aplicaciones con mensajería privada, con almacenamiento descentralizado o utilizando una red blockchain que está por diseño orientada a la privacidad. Y aquí, pues creo que la siguiente pregunta importante es, ¿por qué privacidad? Guru, why privacy? Like, why is it important, or why is part of the main ethos to to make something privacy by default?
Yeah, I think there's this popular saying, no one cares about privacy until you're a victim. Uh, and I personally am lucky that none of my data got compromised, but I've had a lot of instances where I've seen data getting compromised in the projects that I was working at. And in a consumer level itself, I feel like we lose our privacy in a lot of choke points and we don't even know about it. This can be in everyday applications that we use. Very simple example could be chat gpt that you use every day, kind of making all the conversations public. People use chat gpt for all kinds of things. Like even me, I ask stupid questions to chat gpt and I don't want people to know about it. But imagine something like chat gpt kind of selling all the conversational data to another platform, uh, just for the sake of advertisements. So this is exactly where privacy preserving technology like logos can easily plug in. So the way we define use cases is pretty much anything that you can build in web 2. So if you have something like ChatGPT, you can simply make the transport layer privacy preserving by plugging in logos messaging. So nobody knows who is sending a prompt and where the response is coming from. So this is a very cool project idea. I would really love someone to build something like this, where you send a prompt into logos messaging into a content topic, and then AI agent kind of listens to incoming prompts, takes it, processes it, and then gives it back. And no one knows who the sender is and receiver is. So there are a lot of use cases, but anything that you can build in Web 2 should be possible to build with logos.
Cool. No, it's not only Web3 projects that use the Logos stack.
Yeah, so I mean, I will dig deeper into it after you translate, of course. But then the way logos works is very different from other blockchains. We'll focus more on local first applications. So you cannot build a web app on top of logos. I know this might be a uh, bit
Using.
uh, tricky to
Ajá.
understand it at first, but I will come back to you next after translate the other parts, because this is where it gets interesting, and this is where we find logos to be very unique in solving the Web3 problems.
Cool, cool, cool. Let me then move quick on the translation. Le pregunté, ¿no? ¿Por qué la privacidad? ¿Por qué es importante? Y me responde, bueno, es que yo he tenido la fortuna de que mi data nunca se ha filtrado, pero es un problema. Incluso empieza con esta frase de nadie le importa la privacidad hasta que eres una víctima, em, hablando de que el hecho de que se filtren tus datos es muy problemático y que hoy en día muchas de las aplicaciones tienen muchas vulnerabilidades de filtración de datos. Incluso habla de cómo la gente, incluido él, incluido yo, eh, usamos ChatGPT y le preguntamos cualquier tontera, o no tontera, pero les preguntamos cualquier cosa, pero pues se sabe que esa data no es 100% privada y esa data no es, eh, pues puede ceder a una filtración de datos. Y entonces pues menciona, es muy importante que cuidemos la privacidad por diseño, porque bueno, esto no lo dijo yo, pero esto no lo dijo Guru, lo digo yo, eh, porque al final sí hay un riesgo de seguridad hasta personal que se filtren tus datos. Tu dirección, tu IP, bueno, dirección IP, pero también tu dirección física, tus tarjetas de crédito, tus nombres, por dónde andas. eh, Todo eso es peligroso, que no se tomen medidas de privacidad para protegerlo. Incluso él dice, bueno, y ahora lo interesante de Logos es que Logos no es una blockchain y ya, sino estas son herramientas tecnológicas para construir con privacidad por diseño. Incluso dice, pues a mí me encantaría que alguien construya un chat GPT, pero con el sistema de mensajería de Logos Waku, para que podamos como evitar que se difunda, que se venda esa data. Él dice, se vende incluso para temas de publicidad. O sea, esa es como la manera más, pues más evidente, ¿no? De que sí se está vendiendo nuestra data. Entonces ahora, lo siguiente es que me dijo, aquí se va a poner interesante, te voy a platicar qué onda con logos, porque tiene un truco el construir con logos, ¿no? And Master Hakiguro, you're invited to our Spanish room on Thursdays and practice. Beautiful.
100%. Check that out.
Yeah. We do it at our Discord, the Frutero Club Discord. Last session was on Twitter, so it was more open, but we'll let you know. And well, please be welcome to join us to practice your Spanish. Um, here, here Guru shared us, bueno, aquí Guru nos compartió este link. Find how your privacy is compromised by browser-based Web3.
Yep. So this is where I kind of wanted to start the browser narrative, because I told you earlier that logos will not be just another stack for building web applications. So this means that we are making a bold move of saying people that browser-based Web3 is compromising on your privacy. And an example for this is this amazing blog post that my colleague published earlier. And this is super interactive. So once you go into the blog post, you can see what data is being compromised just by clicking on this link and looking at the blog post. So when we look at browser-based Web3, it's not
Do
really.
do you want to share the screen though? Like, if you
Oh,
want
yeah,
to.
yeah, sure. I can do that. One sec.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah, no worries. I just thought this is a very interesting resource for people to look at. So yeah, when you go into the blog post, you can see it's super interactive with some things like anyone can find what browser you're using, your machine, For example, if you're using a sophisticated machine, they might show you different prices for things that you wish to purchase. And for someone who is in a different region, you might get geo blocked. So there's so many things that can be extracted just from a browser session, which
Mhm.
also includes a
Okay.
combined fingerprint hash that kind of has all these data.
Can
But
you zoom in a little bit?
yeah, sure. One sec. Let me check.
Thanks.
Yeah. So this is just the beginning, and I don't think this data is much valuable. Apart from censoring people based on any of these things. For example, things could be like uh, a person accessing a particular product from Europe, or a flight from Europe might see different prices compared to a person accessing from India, or anywhere else in the world. And this is already happening in a lot of services that we use. And this happens based on the data that is being extracted by this way. But when you dig a bit more deeper, you can see that you can find a lot more information about a particular person just by a browser session. And this is just for web 2 side of things. uh, there's also other things. For example, RPCs in web3 apps. RPCs are simply rented infrastructures for you to be able to communicate with a blockchain. So if you want to communicate with, let's say, Ethereum, you use an RPC to kind of rent a Ethereum full node in order to communicate with the Ethereum network, which means you're not essentially running an Ethereum node in your computer. So when you have a middleman in place like this, the middleman can simply see whatever you are trying to do. He can easily exfiltrate your information, or even censor you based on your information, or kind of correlate your IP address to a wallet, which is very risky. Imagine you're making a transaction, and if someone like a DApp can kind of correlate your IP address to a wallet address, that's super risky. That just puts your whole privacy in question. And there's so many other things that can also be extracted. And the blog post that I shared earlier just digs you deeper into it, just to validate the privacy problem. But there's even more apart from this. uh, there's like ISP provider calls that you make, which can also be accessible by different web3 dapps. Analytical firms can also buy this data from RPCs. For example, something like Alchemy can sell their data to analytical firms, which probably is happening already. But a bigger problem is when compliance firms buy this data. Imagine the government simply buying all this data and kind
Okay.
of sanctioning everyone who uses Alchemy, or everyone who has a wallet and is using a correlated IP. So this is very much possible, uh, and this is how censorship looks like in the deeper levels. And this is exactly the problem that we are trying to solve with logos. And the funniest part is most of these problems were solved even before web3 was a thing. You don't need a sophisticated blockchain to solve this problem. But the the kind of inspiration that we have are things like torrent, or things like tor. So torrent simply works based on a desktop app. So torrent is a protocol, and you just download an app like BitTorrent to interact with the protocol. That way, even even if someone shuts down the BitTorrent website, the torrent desktop app can always let you communicate with torrent, and it's not censorable at all. But if Alchemy gets censored, all the Ethereum apps in the Ethereum ecosystem kind of go away overnight, and that's how fragile the whole ecosystem is. But Logos is heavily inclined to Ethereum's ideology. Logos itself is an evolution of Ethereum. We are not a competitor of Ethereum. It's just like an evolution from Ethereum, because Whisper is currently Logos messaging, and Swarm is currently Logos storage, and Ethereum itself is evolving into logos blockchain, and that's how we look at things. And the way you use logos is by building local applications without your browser. So we have something called the Logos app or Logos Basecamp. We have two different names for it right now because we are working on rebranding, but then I will use the name Logos Basecamp for now. So Logos Basecamp is like BitTorrent. Imagine Logos to be the protocol, and Logos Basecamp is a client built on top of Logos. So all your applications can be accessible only inside the Logos app. So that's how the Logos
Oh,
ecosystem itself looks like. So no one can censor it. There's no way any browser or any RPC can steal your data. So you're communicating with the blockchain directly instead of communicating to a middleman, which is something like Alchemy, because we strongly believe that uh, a sovereign infrastructure cannot be built on rented infrastructure because RPCs are just
hey, upa,
RPCs are just like something that you rent, and you can't own a house that you rent, right?
completely. Wow. Okay, awesome. Thank you for all this knowledge, man. Let me translate.
Yeah, it's going to be very tricky. I think it took me a lot of time to kind of put this storytelling because we
Yeah.
are very new. But again, I I would really look forward to hear what you translate it like.
Okay. Ok. Damas, caballeros. El gurú empieza mostrándonos una aplicación, un servicio. Anthony, si puedes volver a poner el link por aquí por si lo quieren revisar. Eh, Nos empieza mostrando un blog que publicó uno de sus colegas recientemente, donde se ve toda la data que puedes sacar una página de tu navegador solo conectándote a esa página. Entonces, si vieron lo que compartió en pantalla, sacó dónde estaba, qué máquina estaba usando, hasta los píxeles que tenía su pantalla. O sea, es mucha data que en las manos de incorrectas, pues puede ser data muy importante, ¿no? Siguiente escena nos platica de, bueno, ahora imagínate que tu dirección de IP se asocia con una wallet. Y eso te pone en mucho riesgo, porque ya no es solo tu ubicación, tu posible ubicación física, sino también tu patrimonio. Patrimonio además libre del gobierno. O sea, todo lo que estés haciendo de manera descentralizada es fácilmente encontrable. Y de ahí se va a hablarnos de los RPCs. Si usted es builder, probablemente le ha tocado lidiar con RPCs. Si no, le platico, un RPC es una ruta que tú usas para conectar tu app o lo que sea que estés construyendo a, a una red, sea Ethereum, o sea cualquier capa 2, o sea cualquier otra red blockchain que estés utilizando para el servicio de tu red, pero ese RPC lo provee una empresa. Él pone de ejemplo Alchemy, porque Alchemy es la más grande del mundo, o la que más se usa actualmente, y dice, pero es que en cualquier momento el gobierno puede pedirle a Alchemy que le dé los datos de quiénes están usando sus RPCs, y entonces toda esta noción de anticensura, de descentralización, de, de soberanía, pues se ve vulnerada, porque pues, Alchemy tiene que entregar por ley los datos y por lo tanto toda la información se filtra. Y eso es un problema si queremos si somos parte de este movimiento blockchain, pues parte de lo que buscamos es la descentralización, ¿no? Y la soberanía, y la seguridad y la privacidad. Pero, pues eso, el RPC es un problema, ¿no? Por lo tanto, nos platica de que Logos piensa en esto y dice, bueno, nosotros hicimos una aplicación que se llama Logos Basecamp. Nos dice que están en rebranding, pero Logos Basecamp es una app que contiene las apps desplegadas en la red de Logos, pero esta app está por diseño generada para que no sea rastreable. Y él dice, bueno, nosotros no estamos compitiendo con Ethereum, nosotros creemos que somos la evolución de Ethereum en términos de privacidad, porque en este caso ya no tienes que conectar un RPC, tienes que tener una app. Y aquí yo tengo una pregunta de lógica, y perdón si me salgo un poquito del guión, pero me es importante. Eh, Guru, bueno, la pregunta que le voy a hacer en lo que vuelve es, ¿esa app no es también rastreable? Guru, is the app Basecamp, where you're deploying the blockchain, well, the Logos blockchain apps, is not also traceable?
Yep, it's not traceable at all. I actually have I
Sí,
tried to share
hola.
the app over here, so I can just give a quick preview. And the app is very new, so it's breaking every now and then. It's actively in development, but yeah, I would love to showcase a bit of it.
Thank
So
you.
yeah, this is the Logos Basecamp app, and it runs locally on my machine. So you, even if our websites get censored, this app is not going to be censored. And when you run the Logos Basecamp app, this runs a Logos blockchain node, uh, Logos messaging node, and the Logos storage node. And not by default, but you can install these by going to the package manager, which is over here. So yeah, this is the package manager, and we have all of these packages over here. So I have the Logos blockchain package installed, and then there's also storage package installed, and chat is the one that I use for messaging. So all of these are packages, and there's different types of packages. There's core packages, which are protocols, and UI packages are like UIs. And obviously this the way this is going to look will be very different. This is more like a developer preview for now. But let's say if you want to use a particular module, let's consider Logos chat. We have something over here called Logos chat. After you install, you can just come here, and I am going to create a new intro bundle to talk. So this is my intro bundle. uh, I'm just copying this to clipboard, and I can share it to other people who I wish to talk with. Let's say in this case, I just try to talk with myself. So I sent a hello, and I got it over here. And yeah, this is basically using Logos messaging, and this cannot be censored by anyone. There's no RPCs, there's no middlemen, there's no internet ISPs that can block this. All of this happens from your computer to the Logos blockchain, or Logos messaging, or Logos storage networks, and back to your blockchain. So this is exactly how torrent works. There's no middleman at all, and that's how the whole app is implemented. And this is just a chat module. We have a storage module, which I think is this one, and there's multiple modules like this. So yeah, this is just like a high level preview. We are still working on the app, but yeah. So what is an RPC? RPC is a remote procedure call. Yes. So when you try to build an Ethereum app, the way you do it usually is not by running your own Ethereum node within the app, but you integrate an RPC endpoint from Alchemy or from QuickNode or any of these RPC platforms, and they run the node for you, and you just communicate with that node using an API, uh, which is the easiest way to understand RPCs. So over here, you own the node. The node runs in your computer, and it can run in a small hardware like Raspberry Pi. In fact,
Órale.
yeah, we had like 100 Raspberry Pis distributed earlier. Last week, we did a conference in Portugal, and we distributed 100 Raspberry Pis to different communities around the world. And we are still planning to do it in the future. And all of these Raspberry Pis have the Logos blockchain node in it. So it's that lightweight. It can run in any device as light as a Raspberry Pi.
Órale. That's super cool. That's super cool. Translating, nos enseñó la app. Yo le pregunté, oye, ¿no es rastreable la aplicación? Y me dice, no, esto corre en tu computadora, se comunica con la blockchain y vuelve a tu computadora, ¿no? O vuelve a la computadora de donde sea que lo quieras mandar un mensaje, por ejemplo. Y dice, bueno, pero es que la red de logos funciona con nodos. Ahí Patrick hace la pregunta de qué es un RPC. Un RPC, traduciendo la respuesta, significa Remote Procedure Call, y es una solución a que si tú quieres hacer una app blockchain, necesitas tener tu propio nodo de Ethereum. Y RPC o los proveedores de RPCs, te dan una llave para que tú puedas conectarte al nodo de Ethereum o de la red que quieras de ellos para poder correr tu aplicación en esa red. Entonces él dice, bueno, nosotros quitamos a esos intermediarios, quitamos a toda esa middleman, intermediarios, para que sea una comunicación totalmente directa y totalmente irrastreable y totalmente incensurable. Y pues esa es la gran innovación que trae Logos hoy en día. Which is crazy. Which is
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Great
if
innovation.
if you are planning to build an app in the Logos ecosystem, you're not going to build it for the browsers, but you're going to build it as a sub module inside the Logos Basecamp. So people install Logos Basecamp, and if they want to, let's say, use a decentralized exchange, they just install the decentralized exchange in the Logos Basecamp app and they use it rather than using it on the browser, which might look like it's difficult, hard to understand, but that's my job to solve
So,
as a DevRel.
yeah. Ok, nos platica que la app ya no si quieres construir en Logos blockchain, ya no las apps ya no corren en navegador, sino directamente desde dentro de su app, pero así puedes garantizar que todo lo que construyas sea privado. I want to move to the next section of this interview, which I believe it's quite important. I know that Logos have an initiative of local nodes in terms of community as a social movement. I even know you have a forum. Um, can you can you tell me about that? What kind of experiences of learnings have you been getting out of communities gathering and speaking about privacy? I know we have one in Mexico, and I want to make a huge shout out a Mariana Carmona. She is the Mexico's leader for these gatherings, and I know they have been like a place of high philosophy discussions, and it's amazing. Like from your side, how do you see this whole social movement?
Yeah, so we have local communities called circles all around the world. I believe we already have more than 30 circles. I'm not sure, but then I close to 30 circles maybe. There's one in London as well. So I go to the London circle every once in a month, but I'm aware of the circle in Mexico as well. So yeah, all these circles around the world meet in person every once in a month or multiple times a month. It depends on the circle, and then they try to solve a winnable issue. And this is also something that I personally love about Logos, because Logos also has circles as the tool for solving local issues in different parts of the world. For example, in the UK, the circle that I contribute to is looking at the digital IDs. The UK government is coming up with something called digital IDs for all the residents. So everyone has a digital ID for themselves, and this kind of gives them the immigration status and a lot of other things. So yeah, we are trying to make some research on how blockchain can be incorporated for this use case, and we are trying to maybe make a blog post or an article summarizing how this can happen, or maybe even a proof of concept in the best case. So this is just one of the winnable issues that my circle is working on, but there are multiple other circles in the world. One of my other favorite circles is the one in Zanzibar in Africa, and they are working on a couple of fundraising things. I believe they had a school that they kind of brought back by
Órale.
fundraising with crypto, and the logo circle was really helpful with it. And there's also another circle in Lisbon where they kind of are working on a community garden. They made a censorship resistant platform where people can share their opinions about things, and then they are eventually trying to build a local garden, community garden. uh, yeah, there's multiple other circles. There's one in Porto, which is also looking at domestic violence against women. So there's multiple circle leads working on multiple uh, winnable issues, and I'm not sure what the winnable issue for Mexico is, but then it's very interesting to see that uh, technology of the scale of logos is also looking for use cases in our local environments that we can face day to day. And anyone can start a circle. The link to learn more about circles is logos.co/circles. You can see if there's a circle near you in your city or in your country, or you can also start your own circle. And if you start your own circle, you're also given support in terms of uh, funding required for hosting an event. Could be something like venue, food and drinks for attendees and stuff. But yeah, I'm sure all of this is available in the circle's website. I'm not the best person for it. We have circle stewards who are more knowledgeable than me in this regard. But yeah, logos.co/circles is the best point to get started.
That's amazing. Yeah, well, let me translate because le pregunté sobre una iniciativa que se llama Círculos, los círculos de logos, eh, que es parte, o sea, Logos te ofrece tecnología, pero además ofrece un movimiento ciudadano llamado los círculos, en los cuales se busca que a nivel hiperlocal, aquí tenemos logos.com, diagonal circles, donde está la lista de cuáles son las organizaciones locales que pueden usted encontrar. Y dice, si usted no encuentra una, puede iniciar la suya en su ciudad. Tienen presupuesto, por lo que le entendí, para que puedas invitar las bebidas, la comida para un evento y o sea, una reunión de personas interesadas. Particularmente, ¿para qué sirve? Para que se resuelvan problemas hiperlocales. Entonces me estaba platicando, en Londres se está generando una iniciativa para identidades digitales porque hay muchos temas de inmigración. En Zanzíbar, África, lograron levantar una escuela o andan en proceso de restaurar una escuela por los mecanismos de coordinación que encontraron utilizando cripto, más tecnología, más este mecanismo de platiquemos de problemas y solucionemos cosas. En la Ciudad de México tenemos un círculo de logos que actualmente lo impulsa Mariana Carmona. Ocurren una vez al mes y son espacios de pláticas hiper interesantes donde se discuten los problemas más relevantes a solucionar y cómo el uso de la tecnología se puede aplicar con ayuda de Logos Network o con la ayuda de la tecnología para que solucionemos problemas. Entonces, pues bueno, dice, yo no soy la persona adecuada para hablar de esto, hay alguien que se dedica a esto en la oficina, pero si a usted le interesa, puede sumarse o organizar su propio círculo y unirse a este movimiento social. Lo cual me lleva a mi siguiente pregunta, o como yéndome un poquito por esa línea, le voy a preguntar y ahorita traduzco la pregunta. I know the Logos founder, Jared Hope. He wrote a book about coordination on blockchain. And do you have something to share about that? Because I believe all the initiative of circles and the tech stack is backed by all what he's sharing on his book. Do you want to
I think the book is an excellent projection of what we are trying to do, and it's called A Farewell to Westphalia. and the book is available on Amazon and a lot of other marketplaces. You can just Google it up and it's going to show up. There's also digital copies available, and you can also go to your closest circle and get one from your circle lead. But yeah, this is a great book, and I personally love it. I just have it back in my book rack. I've still not completed it. I'm not really a good reader, but then I've been trying to read this, and it talks more about network states, how blockchain can eventually be a part of governance and a lot of other social stuff. And the circles is also like a tool for identifying such winnable issues and use cases where something like Logos blockchain or Logos technologies can be applied.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like he, if he wrote that, the whole initiative of circles and the tech should be aligned. Traduciendo, le pregunté, hay un libro de Jarrad Hope, el fundador de Logos, que se llama Adiós a Westfalia, Farewell to Westphalia, donde platica del uso de la tecnología blockchain como mecanismos de gobernanza, en una crítica al DeFi, al dinero mágico del Internet. Busca hablar del uso de la tecnología para solucionar problemas ciudadanos y sociales y ambientales y de todo tipo, ¿no? El libro está disponible en Amazon, como open source también está disponible. Lo googleas y pues te lleva a su página web, y si no quieres pagar por él, lo puedes descargar gratis. Si quieres apoyar, puedes pagar en Amazon por él. I'm going to thank you for all this like fluent. Thank you for all the conversation. I think we have spoken about a lot of things. My last question, and I'm gonna read it because this was written by our dear marketing lead, Emma. Cheers, my man. Saludos. At Frutero, we're building a space where technology and people connect through values like privacy and digital sovereignty. From your experience as a builder and nomad, what role do you think spaces like this should play in the tech ecosystem?
Yeah, I think the reason why I feel like the conversation is going pretty well is because there's alignment in terms of uh, having a technology that is supported by culture. Because without culture, there's no use of having a technology, and without technology, the culture cannot be implemented. And with Logos, it's not just a technology stack, but we also have a whole lot of movement building happening. And an example for the movement building stuff is the circles, where we identify use cases where civil liberties can be uh, preserved in different parts of the world, because every other part of the world is different. And as a nomad, I think I've had the fortune of experiencing a couple of things. I've been in Europe, a lot around Asia, and once in South America. And I also think there's a lot of use cases, especially in South America. Like, for example, from my experience in Argentina, I saw that we had an app called Peanut during DevConnect for making payments. So I just load my crypto into Peanut, and then I spend it in every place where the payments are accepted. I'm not sure what was the name of the payment, but then it was like I just scan a QR code and then I pay it. And when I do this, I spend my crypto, and it was so easy. I was even able to get a uh, messy jersey from a roadside vendor using crypto, which is not something that can happen in London yet. So I was very surprised to see that, like, Argentina was so advanced in that regard. They had a very good payments infrastructure that can support cryptocurrencies already, which is a very good use case. And I think, based on my interaction today, I'm just trying to identify such use cases that are in your community. There might be people who are familiar with such use cases or have ideas that they think can be implemented with something like Logos. So if you have any such ideas, please feel free to join our Discord. I'm going to drop a link to our Discord in the chat. The Discord community is where most of our conversations happen. So join in, and we have a lot of core contributors looking forward to external contributors to join the Discord. So we'll make sure that you feel welcomed. And if you are looking for some inspiration, or if you want to add an idea into logos, we have a repository on GitHub called the ideas repository. I'm going to share a link to it as well. So this has a list of ideas that can be built on top of logos.
Okay.
Alternatively, you can also suggest an idea that you wish to see built on top of logos. So two links for you. Yeah, that's
To
pretty
call
much
to actions.
call to actions. Yeah.
You also sent a message that we have some prizes for developers listed at
Yes.
GitHub as well as Lambda prize. What is that, a hackathon, or is that like a...
Yep. So we have something called the logos L prices or Lambda prices. So I'm gonna send a link to it again.
Okay.
And we have around 10 Lambda prices listed right now. And Lambda prices are not just event specific. They are just like very similar to bounties, where you can build something that we are looking for and get an incentive for it. And we also have RFPs. I'm going to share a link for RFPs.
It's a whole
RFPs are,
ecosystem. Like, it's a lot of things happening at Logos in this moment that
yeah,
we
and
should
most of these things are very new. Like, for example, the Lambda price was introduced like 1 week ago, and we just have a repository right now. But eventually, we are launching a site for this. Like, we are embedding it within our website, like in the end of this week. So by next week, you'll have access to a lot more resources. So we will be sharing all of these in Discord. But for now, I think the Lambda price repository and RFP repository are pretty new, and they have a lot of prices listed in it already. So if you are seeing this, you are one of the very first people to see this. So you can dive in and start building already. But
fast. Cool.
RFPs are requests for proposals. If you find an use case that you are interested to build as a business or as a startup, you can look at RFPs. They're usually a bit more sophisticated, but Lambda prices are simple, and you can easily start contributing to logos with Lambda prices.
Okay, beautiful. Uh, I think I froze a little bit. No, yeah, you see me?
You're
Yes.
back. Yeah.
Okay. But I heard you. Um okay, let me translate real quick and we are going to close. If someone from the audience has a question while I'm translating, this is a moment. Talk now or send him a tweet. Okay, so let's do this. Le pregunté, bueno, le dije, en Frutero queremos construir espacios donde la tecnología y las personas puedan convivir justo con valores como la privacidad, la soberanía digital, etcétera, ¿no? Y le pregunto, bueno, como tú como builder, como nómada, ¿qué rol crees que juega en este tipo de espacios? Y me dice, bueno, pues es que yo he sido nómada, he vivido en muchos países, y justo puedes observar las necesidades tecnológicas por cada país. Y dice, bueno, es que yo fui a Argentina y está sorprendido de que tenían una infraestructura tan grande de pagos en criptomonedas, cosa que en Londres todavía ni siquiera en Londres es todavía como tan abierta, ¿no? Entonces dice, pues abrir estos espacios es muy importante porque identificando las necesidades hiperlocales podemos apoyar al desarrollo tecnológico. Dicho eso, nos dice, bueno, si usted tiene ideas o propuestas, tenemos varios canales en Logos. Tenemos el Discord, donde se platica de un montón de ideas, propuestas, desarrollo. y cosas que podemos implementar juntos como colaborativo, como una red ciudadana, pero también nos habla de un repositorio en GitHub que es logos-co-ideas, gracias Anthony, donde ellos ponen ideas que les gustaría ver construidas en su red, que creen que son útiles, pero que ellos mismos no tienen el tiempo de construir ahora mismo, pero que les gustaría ver, o que te pueden servir de inspiración para que tú construyas tus propias ideas basado en ello, ¿no? Además de eso, nos dio un alfa, no le digan a nadie, ¿no? Lo vio usted primero en Frutero, se quedó hasta acá, hasta este momento, que está en otro GitHub, diagonal logos, -co, diagonal lambda price, ese mero, donde hay premios por construir cosas utilizando logos. Entonces, pues, chequen a ver si hay algo que les parezca un buen proyecto que se puede hacer y pues puede ser un mecanismo de tanto de colaborar al desarrollo tecnológico colectivo como de ganarse una feria, un billullo. Y la tercera cosa que nos dice es el logos-co-rpfp. What is this for? Sorry,
That's
this one
request
is
for
for...
proposals, RFPs. So they are also like Lambda prices, but bit more harder for individuals. So you need like a team to build it.
Ok. Estas son una solicitud de cosas que a ellos les gustaría ver construidas, pero mucho más difíciles de construir, o sea, que probablemente necesitarás un equipo para construir, pero que probablemente pague mejor que los Lambda Prices. Y listo. Entonces, pues bueno, como puede usted ver, Logos es todo un ecosistema, es todo orientado a la privacidad, orientado a la no censura, repito, a la soberanía digital, que está activo, está vivo, están construyendo sus aplicaciones, están construyendo todo para que los builders entremos y aportemos. Y si usted no es un builder técnico, también puede sumarse a los círculos donde hay discusiones, donde van diseñadores, diseñadoras, economistas, ¿no? Historiadores, donde se habla de soluciones. Entonces, por esto, al inicio de la llamada yo le comentaba, querido televidente, que este es de mis proyectos favoritos por su ética, por sus valores y porque están seriamente construyendo con una misión en el panorama. Dicho lo anterior, voy a dar cierre. Querido Guru, muchas gracias por tu presencia. Let's do the closing in Spanish. So you practice your Spanish.
Yeah.
So,
Muchas gracias
Uh-huh.
por invitar. Is that the correct one?
Super, man. Thank you for being here. If you wanna follow him on Twitter, Haki Guru. I'm gonna send it real quick. @Haki Guru, right?
Yep.
Okay. It will appear here on the screen any soon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing with us. And let's build.
Thanks so much. It was a
Do you have
pleasure.
any closing commentaries or something you want to say?
Nothing specific, but yeah, I think to be in the communication loop, make sure to join the Discord, and then we have some announcements coming in the next couple of weeks for RFPs, Lambda prices, and all of these things. And you're very early. That's the advantage that you have. So I hope to see you building an RFP or a Lambda price.
Awesome. I definitely will, and we'll share with the builders to do so.
Perfect. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you for being here, man. Y gracias, Anthony, por los controles. Gracias a la audiencia que estuvo mandando mensajes, que se quedaron hasta este momento. Y nos vemos la próxima Frutero Talk.